February 11, 2015, off the coast of Brazil, the FPSO Cidade de São Mateus is executing a standard natural gas condensate transfer. At 12:48 p.m., a massive explosion rips through the ship's aft pump room. The concussive force instantly obliterates the heavy steel bulkheads separating the machinery from the crew areas. 9 workers are killed, 26 others are severely injured. On paper, the Cidade de São Mateus operated under strict safety management systems, rigorously documented and overseen by national regulatory bodies. Analysis of the wreckage revealed the explosion had been 7 years in the making, slowly engineered through a series of compromised design choices and a long-term decay of operational procedures. To understand the blast, we have to look back to 2008. That is when this vessel was converted from a standard very large crude carrier into a floating production and offloading unit. During that conversion, engineers chose to retain the ship's outdated aft pump room. They bypassed the industry standard of installing modern, deep well submerged pumps directly inside the individual cargo tanks. This specific layout routed highly pressurized, explosive hydrocarbon fluids out of the tanks and funneled them into a single, tightly enclosed machinery space at the back of the ship. Then, the architects placed the ship's accommodation block, the exact area where the crew sleeps, eats, and rests, directly on top of this highly volatile choke point. Before a single drop of fluid was ever transferred, the physical geometry of the vessel turned the pump room into a loaded weapon pointed directly at the crew. Dangerous architectural layouts exist across the offshore industry, and they are usually mitigated by airtight operational protocols. On the São Mateus, those protocols were actively falling apart. Inspectors later found a trail of ignored hazard reports. Crucial safety layers, like the cross-docking control system designed to monitor fluid transfers, had never actually been commissioned for use. Beneath this administrative failure was a deeply exhausted workforce. The Marine team was understaffed and running on relentless 12-hour shifts, slowly eroding their physical and mental capacity to manage risks. This brings us back to February 11th. Deep inside that cramped pump room, a pipe fitting fails, and volatile gas condensate begins filling the enclosed space. Alarm sound. But without complete operational procedures or functional automated safety systems to guide them, the exhausted crew is forced into a series of frantic, improvised decisions to try and stop the leak. A flammable gas cloud finds an ignition source. The resulting blast proves that when process discipline breaks down under pressure, disaster is the mathematical outcome. The explosion aboard the Cidade de São Mateus remains Brazil's deadliest offshore incident in over a decade. It stands as a grim case study of what happens when production targets slowly override process safety. It also exposes a harsh reality of offshore operations. When engineering safeguards are bypassed and organizational culture rots away, the worker on the deck is the only thing standing between a hazard and a fatal outcome. Checking boxes on a compliance form does not keep a worker alive in a flooded compartment or a smoke-filled corridor. Survival in those exact moments requires the ingrained autonomic reflexes forged through rigorous, OPIDO-approved safety training. To escape a rapidly deteriorating environment, crews must physically master the tools of survival. That means extensive, hands-on repetition with compressed air emergency breathing systems, underwater helicopter escapes, and advanced offshore firefighting protocols. Safety in the energy sector relies on physical and mental resilience, the ingrained ability to act quickly and correctly the moment every other safeguard fails.